Hi and welcome back. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can reuse your Mailgun sending code just by putting it inside a library file and calling it from your other code. So this is just a refactoring of this code here to make it a bit nicer, but nonetheless, I thought I should show you how I do this normally in my other projects. It's really straightforward. What we'll do is in your project, you'll want to have a new Python package that you're going to call libs. And normally you'll have a package like this one in most projects as long as you're using other external services. In this case, we're using the external service Mailgun. Mailgun gives us an API that we can interact with, but there is a small issue of sorts that here we're not really, in terms of our code, we're not really interacting with Mailgun directly. When you read this code, it's a bit too raw. You know, you can see that what you're doing is you're making a request to some API and then something's happening and so forth. And unless you know exactly what this API is doing, it may not be immediately obvious that this is sending an email. Of course, you now know what this code does, and if you see a post request to something called Mailgun, you know what Mailgun is, and you see a from, to, subject, and text, you can probably guess this is sending an email. But what I mean to say is that this code here isn't what you'd read as send an email. You'd read this as make a post request to some place. So it's always a good idea to put this code inside a function and call that function send an email. And that way, when you read in some other part of your program send email, you'll know that that function is sending an email, and you won't have to worry about whether it's sending a post request or a get request to some place. So with that said, we'll go into our libs folder and create a new Python file. I'm going to call this mailgun.py because this is going to contain our Mailgun library. This is going to be a Python file that is going to encapsulate that sending of a request, and it's going to encapsulate it and call it in a bit nicer way. So we're going to import requests in here. Then we're going to have our class Mailgun